Hello there. Some wars are fought for territory, some wars they're fought over ideology, and on rare occasions there are those wars that are fought for genuinely moral reasons, and even in them there's shades of grey. Today we're discussing the Nesari, first encountered by the USS Voyager in 2373. Deep in the Delta Quadrant, this technologically sophisticated and seemingly quite advanced and intellectual species had an ongoing war with a race called the Terrasians, a race predominantly matriarchal and almost entirely made up of women, with men being relatively rare in their society. But there was a reason for this conflict. Before we get started though, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and let's get started. The Nesari, as said, were a humanoid species, sentient and technologically sophisticated, warp capable, with relatively powerful vessels. In terms of physical appearance, they had scaly-like skin with flourished fleshy protrusions on their heads. They had a sort of greyish blue tint to their skin and were generally quite amicable people when encountered by other races, unless they detected a Terrasian life sign aboard your ship, in which case they attacked without hesitation with the fervour of a Klingon, hocked up on blood wine. They would attack the USS Voyager because they detected the presence of a single Terrasian aboard the ship, and although their vessel was powerful, it was no match for Voyager, and they were able to repel the attack. But it turns out that the Terrasians are a predatory people. Because men are so rare in their society and unfortunately die after mating, giggity, they are basically a race that suffer from death by snoo-snoo, and unfortunately as their societies grow more technologically sophisticated and advanced, the amount of death by snoo-snoo has increased at an unprecedented rate, resulting in a decreased birth rate of males and a decreased survivability as the female population continued to increase while the male didn't stay in equilibrium with it. So they resorted to genetically modifying other races, utilizing a retrovirus that they would infect you with that would begin to turn you into a Terrasian, installing instincts and even memories into you, sort of making you think you were Terrasian and compelling you to come to them. Because they had done this to the Nesari and others, the Nesari took it upon themselves to police the border and continually attack the Terrasians. Unfortunately, because of the Terrasians' culture, they too had built up their military, and they were a little bit more powerful. One-on-one, a Terrasian vessel was seen to easily outgun and outfight a Nesari warship. Nesari vessels themselves were strikingly similar to a Romulan science vessel, only having a sandy gold coloured hull instead. They were equipped with particle weapons, potentially torpedoes, but that wasn't exactly confirmed, and they were relatively robust and sturdy ships. It's not known if they had any other particularly advanced technologies, but considering many races in the Delta Quadrant lack things like transporters and replicators, we can extrapolate that they maybe don't have them either. But they were certainly warp capable, and their weapons were at least ish on par with those of the Federation. The Terrasians, on the other hand, seem to be a bit tactically more superior, but you would assume that as a species that creates enemies so easily, that would probably be quite broadly the case. The Terrasians would have constant influxes of males from other species coming to them, who would meet an unfortunate and violent end, having the life sucked out of them by the Terrasian women, giggity, and suffering death by snoo-snoo. The Nesari, as I said, policed the border, attacking any Terrasian vessel and any ship trying to enter their space that had a Terrasian life sign on board, trying to prevent the Terrasians from continuing this sort of genocide of males from other species who were unwilling and often unknowing participants in this. They would sort of come down to the planet to be treated like an Adonis, only to basically, as I said, during coitus, would have their life sucked out of them in some way, shape or form, although that wasn't fully explained. The Nesari wanted to put a stop to this. They outlawed travel and transport travel of any kind into Terrasian territory. As long as there were no Terrasians aboard your ship, they would be fairly amicable and would seemingly quite a peaceful race. Although we don't know the full history of their interactions with the Terrasians, we can assume they have not historically been good. So, as I said, some wars are ideology, some wars are over territory and resources, and others are for what could be considered a moral reason. A reason being, we want you to stop killing our men. But on the other hand, playing devil's advocate, if the Terrasians don't do this, there's a good chance that their civilization could either stagnate, regress. That's being on the probably optimistic side, as their birth rate would massively decrease, although this could eventually reach an equilibrium where there were enough men for the number of women, but you would likely see a stagnation of culture and technology, and potentially, worst case scenario, their civilization could die out if there was something genetically wrong with them resulting in this. It's also plausible that the constant influx of alien DNA into their civilization is making the problem even worse. We may never know. The exact state of the Nesari by the early 25th century is unknown, but it's reasonable to assume they've not come to any kind of peace accord with the Terrasians. A single named Terrasian vessel is known, and it was called the Narada. This was subsequently known by the Federation as the Narada type Terrasian vessel. It was under the command of a Captain Alden, and that's pretty much all we know about their current state of technology and the disposition of their forces. We don't actually know what the official name of the ship was, but from a Federation point of view, it's the Narada type. I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share and a subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now, and in the description box below there are links to my other social media accounts.